Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to FabScraps Card Making Project 13. Now in today's episode we're going to be using the Love Story Collection because up till September we're alternating between Love Story and Days Gone By, the two gorgeous collections that are available to purchase in your fab boxes. So you can either craft along with me or you can use items that you already have in your stash to make something similar. If you check my blog, you'll be able to find all the items that I have used and detailed listing and lots of photos of the projects as well. Now today's project is a little bit different because you're just going to need a bucket of patience for this one. It's a little bit longer than normal because I show you a great technique, and I'm also going to show you the finished card as well because I want you to see the technique that we've used. On the front of the card you can see we've made some paper chains. I'm going to give it a shake. They move, they swing, and I show you how to do that in the actual project itself. So it's a little bit longer, and I think it's just a great technique that you could use on so many different things. It doesn't have to be cards, it would look fantastic on scrapbooking. So from now on, all the miniature paper chains that I see, I will think that I've inspired it. Which leads me to say, please tag me. Please tag me on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram. If you're showing me your creations and I've inspired you, tag me so that I can see them. Because if you don't, then I don't get to see them. It'll just, as I'm scrolling, it'll just pass by or it won't show up. So click that like button on my Facebook page and or become my friend, and then, I can see them. So without further ado, let's have a look at today's gorgeous FabScraps project. So for this project, we're going to be using the Love Story Collection from FabScraps. And it's going to be one of those cards that you're going to think, oh, Anne-Marie, I haven't got patience for that. Because we're going to have some paper chains on it. Little bit different, and I want to show you first, before we make the card, how to make the paper chains. They are so pretty and well worth taking the time to create. And I wanted to show you how to do them because I think it's all part of the techniques and just showing you how to put, how I put things together. Now, at this point, you're now thinking, oh, I can't see. Don't worry about that. You are going to need, I would say, a good eye, not a steady hand, but you are going to need some liquid glue. Now, for me, I'm asked about glue all the time. If I'm adding flowers to a project and it's on camera, I tend to use silicone glue. If I'm making flowers, I use glossy accents. I prefer glossy accents to silicone glue. Glossy accents takes hold nice and quick. You'll have seen me using the white glue, the PVA glue. It's only because I run out of glossy accents. So I've just ordered some more and I've got some, so we're back on track with that. But that's just my personal preference for wet glue. As I say, it's silicone for when I'm videoing for quickness, and glossy accents takes hold nice and quick. But for adding flowers on video, I do use silicone because it has that grab. It might not dry straight away, but it means I can hold the card up to show you. Okay, so paper chains. Now what I've done is I've cut strips of paper from the Love Story Collection, and these measure 1.2 inches by approximately 45 millimeters wide. It's double-sided, and that's the only thing I would say. If you're going to make paper chains, use double-sided because you're going to see both sides. And what you're looking for are little ovals. Well, they won't be oval when you make them, but you can squish them into shape when they're dry. So you're kind of making circles. Now I'm just going to use a little bit of scrap paper underneath because when they sit and dry, I don't want them to go on my mat. So what I find is I take the strip and I take trusty tweezers, I turn one side of the strip over like so, and I add a little bit of glossy accents onto that, and of course my nozzle's blocked already, so we'll just unblock that. If you ever have that trouble, just use something sharp and push down to unblock. There we go, it's just a little air bubble. So we hold the paper with our tweezers, and we don't need 16 hands, it's just the patience of a saint sometimes. So we've got a little bit of glue on one side, we simply fold the other side over and then move the tweezers to hold it just in place. Now I've got to say, to make your little ovals, your circles, however they start out, we're not looking for perfection. It is simply making that shape with your little paper strips. Now we'll have all made paper chains at school before, and on a larger scale, so we roughly know how it works, as it were. So there's two little ovals, and then we start adding them together to make the actual chain. So same process, little bit of glue on the edge, and then we add two ovals on there, fold the top over. Obviously, normally I'm not doing it in mid-air. I'm normally like this and I'll lean right in. So, and then we've got the start of our chain there, and then we can add another one. I'm not gonna sort of go on and on with this one, but I just want to give you the idea of how quick it comes together. It looks really fiddly, it can be if you're not used to doing lots of shall we say small work and fiddly close to work, but once you get going, I think it's just a neat trick. So already we've got a little chain going there. Now ideally, I know I've done that really quick, I would leave the little ovals to dry before I started chaining them up. However, beauty of video like I've just shown you, here's one I made earlier. Now I'm going to use two chains on our card today. Got to be honest, on one of them I've used foil cardstock, and it's just a general all-purpose foil cardstock. It works, but it doesn't work as great as the FabScraps cardstock, or I would say just general cardstock. The foil, it takes a lot of holding for it to adhere to each other. So just a bit of a tip there, and we're going to use silicone glue to fasten these on. But they're going to look great on our card. So now we can make our card. I wanted to show you that so that you knew how they'd gone together when we get to that part. Because I know some of you will write in and say, oh, how did you make your paper chains? So that's how I did it. So the card that we're going to be using is an 8x8 card. Now for my friends across the pond, I know you have trouble getting hold of the larger cards and the postage for the larger cards. Well, I think this is one that you're going to hand to a person rather than post it. But, you know, I create the 8x8 cards. I've got them on digital download for you to print off, to purchase and print off. If you really are stuck for the cards, and there's the envelopes as well. However, you would be able to scale this down. So just bear that in mind. I've stamped it on the back using one of my Anagraphine handmade stamps. It's the stamp I use on all my cards this year for the handmade. Even though this is a FabScraps project, you know, you can intermix what you have in your stash. That's the whole point of the videos, because just because Mondays and Fridays we've got Anagraphine, on Wednesdays I can be a bit more liberal on a Wednesday with everything that I use, and use a full mixture. And it just goes to show that they will work. So I've added my name and we're on Fab 13. So I'm going to use my bone folder, as always, to make sure I've got a nice sharp crease in the card, even though it's a large card. And I think you're going to like this one because it's quite different. And I think there's some good techniques in this. So for the inside of our card, I've taken a piece of white cardstock, and this is just a fraction smaller than the actual outside of the card. And I've inked around the edges just slightly to give it a little bit of colour, just to tint it. So you can see what I mean about it's just a little bit smaller than the outside of the card. So it's like a shadow, and not a shadow frame, but it gives it a shadow effect of the card. Now I've taken one of our FabScraps Love Story papers, and I've simply ripped a piece and torn it. And this is great for anybody that can't cut in a straight line, actually, this card. So I've made sure it's just the width of the card. I've got flat tape on the back. All the papers in the FabScraps collection are double-sided, and I think you have to take a big breath sometimes with double-sided papers, because you think, oh no, it's so pretty, I don't want to use it because I'm covering it up. So I think a lot of people have a problem with using double-sided papers because they like the pattern on both sides. So that's just gone straight across towards the top of our card. Now, one of the embellishments that's in the collection, because the sheets of 12x12 paper that have lots of embellishments on one side, and they have the pattern cardstock on the other side, but this is one of them with a trio of hearts, and I'm just going to pop that little bit off centre to one side and just stick that down. Then I've taken, again, in from the FabScraps collection, because everything from this is from Love Story, they have some border strips, and this is a great technique. I wanted to make it look like I've got some washi tape on this. So I've cut the border strip, I've got flat tape on the back, and I've just taken a black pen, a fine liner, and just added as if I've stitched the top and bottom. I haven't done it neat. I was going to say I'm not the best in town for doing that, but I think it doesn't matter, because my sewing would be worse than that. So if I'd sewn that, that would be quite neat for me, because I can't sew. So I'm going to add one at one side, and then I've got the same to go at the other side. So again, just the border strip, and I'll go, I think, about like that, a little bit wonky, and it makes it look like I've taped it down. I like that effect. Now I've used some stamps that aren't from FabScraps. These are from Lisa Horton, and they're the Creative Expression ticker tape, and they're the all occasion ones, and I've stamped out Celebrate, and the next one says Your. There we go. Celebrate your day for the final one. And they're just, I love these stamps. I have to say, I really do like these stamps. Celebrate your, shall we have that? There. go. And that is our insert complete. How pretty is that, and how quick and easy. Little bit of torn paper, an embellishment, and 2 pieces of the border to make it look like I've stitched it. Wow. So now the front of our card, and this is going to be the pied de la résistance. Excuse my accent. I just think I love these paper chains, I really do. I'm so excited to use them. So the background of our base for the card is one of the love story papers, and I've cut it to fit the actual card just by less than 1/4 of an inch, so that it gives that nice border edge around the outside, like so. There we go, just on flat tape. Next, I've got a piece of black cardstock that is going to go across the card, and maybe put it about there, I would say. And I'm going to have to trim that edge as it hangs over the card, like so. Just trim that away, the excess, so that it's nice and flush. And then our next layer is a piece of the torn cardstock like we use for the inside. Again, big deep breath for using double-sided cardstock. I know it's kind of like, oh, can't use that. And that's going to go straight across the centre of the black cardstock, so the black is giving it a little bit of a border. Again, I'm going to just trim that excess piece away, and that sits perfectly on our card. Next, I've got a gorgeous nearly a square of the love story paper. Again, I know, double-sided, but we have to sacrifice it sometimes. Now I've added my stitches along the bottom and the top, and I'm just going to pop that piece roughly about there on our card. I've taken the border idea again on 2 pieces of the collection, and I'm just going to add one to the bottom because it really does look like washi tape, but obviously I've used cardstock, and it just, I think it gives it a good effect, so it makes it look like I've just stuck that on with those 2 pieces. Next, I've die cut 2 hearts in silver foil cardstock. This is the same foil that I used, as mentioned, using them with the paper chains. So it's a good foil. It's just a general all-purpose silver foil. It's nothing special, but it just doesn't make the paper chains so well. Got a big heart and a small heart. So now this is where I need to be able to position what I'm using. So I'm going to put one upside down just to begin with, and the second one. So now I can kind of think I want one to that side there. I'm happy with that. And then the second one I want a little bit lower, not too low, but I think about there. Now you'll see why from me adding the paper chains. Now obviously if I was doing this not on film, I would add one and then I would add the second one, but would just, the wonder of filming is very different to when you're sat at your desk making. So we've got our 2 hearts, and now we're going to add our paper chains. Now they're both different lengths, so I want the longer one at the bottom and the shorter one at the top, and they're going to go from one heart to the other heart, but I don't want them to hang off the bottom of the card. I just want them to go from one side to the other. Now that looks to me like that is the longer one. So we'll do that like that. So you can manipulate the shape when they're dry a little bit more. And I think that is about right. As I say, I don't want them hanging off the edge of the card, but I want to have that chain effect. So now I've popped them in position. I'm going to use some silicone glue to hold them in place. Again, if I wasn't filming, I would maybe use a different kind of glue. I'd maybe use my glossy accents and leave them to dry overnight. So, but we want them on there now, and I'm going to press that down, and that will hold those in place. Pull that down a little bit. There we go. And push that one up. Now, to cover the ends of our chains, I've cut out 2 embellishments from the Love Story collection, and I'm adding silicone glue on the back, and it's going to push down on top of the paper chains, and it will help hold those paper chains on the front of the card like that. There we go. And the second heart again is from the Love Story collection on one of the pages that's full of embellishments, and again silicone glue on the back, and pop that over the top of those paper chains like that. Now normally I would leave that to dry, but we're going to go on, and I'm just going to add some sentiments. Now I've stamped out again using the ticker tape stamps. It says send in, I'm going to put that there. That one says send in. Second one is love. Put that one just over the edge like that. And then the next one is and we'll put that one just under there. Heartfelt, and this one can go on this side. Heartfelt wishes. So now it all makes sense. Sending love and heartfelt wishes. For the simple reason, I know this collection is very, well, it's called Love Story, it's lovey-dovey. And a lot of you have said, oh, it's Valentine's Day. But I think for a daughter or to a mum, it is just so pretty. It really is. And anybody would be grateful to receive that. Now, obviously, we're not dry. The card is finished. And I just want to show you a little jiggle of those paper chains. See? And it works. It really does. You could have one heart mum, the second heart daughter, and the chain bride and groom. How cool would that be? Now I'm going to attempt to show you the inside with, I know the front is wet. So that's our inside. Gorgeous insert, enough space to write on. That's our outside. I'm going to take a photo, and I might even do a tiny little video of it stood up and those chains swinging, because it just looks so cool, it really does. I hope this has given you some really cool ideas to use with your projects. It is fun to be able to do something a little bit different, and I think the paper chains are worth the effort. They're worth that time and patience, because they are fun and they look so good on a card, and anybody receiving it will be like, oh, how did you make those? And you'll be like, oh, well, you know, bit of patience, and I'm glad you like it. And you'll be over the moon that they've taken the time for it. Nobody's ever going to go, no, your card's pants, I don't like it, take it back. So I would be happy to receive that. I'd be happy to receive any card, to be quite frank. But anyway, so I do hope you've enjoyed watching. I will take many, many, many photos of this one on my blog, and please be sure to check it out, because there's so many other projects on there. So please share with your crafty friends, in your crafty groups, in your forums, etc. And I don't say that enough, really. And give me the thumbs up as well if you've enjoyed it. So thank you for commenting up to now and sending me all your messages and sending me your creations. They're all beautiful, they really are. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.